As Unitarian Universalists, we can be proud of our denomination's long history of embracing sexuality in all its forms. But despite our denomination's sex-positive posture, many of us, myself included, struggle with the paradox of sex and spirituality. We ask ourselves questions like, when is sex holy? Or, is it wrong to have this urge I'm having? Or, how will I find my heart's true desire? I think at heart, these are theological questions. This past January, I was taking classes at Meadville Lombard Theological School in Chicago, where I'm a second-year student. I invited some Unitarian Universalist seminarians to talk to me about their theology of sexuality. 4 brave souls stepped forward, and here's some of what they had to say.
So I grew up in the UU Church, and I feel so lucky to have done so because I grew up with an idea that my body, that sexuality, that physical interaction with others was not only an accepted but a celebrated and integrated part of who I was as a spiritual person.
Interesting topic. I don't think of myself as having a theology of sexuality. I do feel that I have an implicit set of assumptions that could be formed into a theology if someone wanted to help me do that.
In the bigger picture, my most deeply held Unitarian Universalist value is that first principle of the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And that really, for me, just feeds into, in terms of sexuality, the idea that I can ask for what I need, I can say no to what's not right for me. Those things can change, and I own that.
Well, right off the bat, I think about the binaries that we get caught up in, like male and female, and gay and straight, and top and bottom. And I think about how I just don't believe that God deals in binaries. I don't think God makes binaries.
It wasn't just about sex. It was about covenant and how we build relationships with the people who matter to us.
So, being a Unitarian, I feel like part of the responsibility of being Unitarian is because that there's a responsibility to not only fight the homophobia that I might have grown up with, but also to determine for myself what is my gender preference in sexuality and the like.
But it also translates into how I view other people, and whether it's gender roles or sexuality. I have a real passion for transgender rights, and I play in a band with someone on the transgender spectrum, and we sing and rock out about those issues. And so it's a lively, spiritual, musical experience for me that I tie back to my Unitarian Universalist beliefs and values.
I think God makes spectrums, but they're not even really spectrums. It's really a circle. God makes a cycle or an entire palette, but people decide that certain things are opposites, and then that pass that down to us.
And affirmed who we are as people with the right to choose who we love, how we love them, how we physically interact with each other. Everything from handshakes to hugs to kissing.
I will say that I feel that sexuality and sex is it's part of the joy of life.
I mean, I think about, in terms of sexuality and religion, what I hope for my children. I have a son who's 3 and a daughter who's 5, and I hope that both of them sense a spirituality to their being, to their body, and that they don't separate the body from the spirit. That's something that is really important to me, and something that I express through dance and music and worship.
And I used to believe in that until one day I heard somebody. I had always believed that the opposite of love was hate, But one day somebody said to me, no, the opposite of love is indifference, because in both hate and love you have an investment, but in indifference you have no. And then I realized, oh, so these opposites are actually arbitrary.
So when we build our interactions together, when we build covenant together, it's not just about our thoughts or our words, it's about every piece of who we are, and that includes our physical selves. For me, sexuality and teaching about sexuality is an integral part of how we form a church community that is truly a beloved community.
Just making sure if you have kids, that they understand, they learn well and safely and without shame. I have two daughters. The idea that either of them would experience shame for either orientation or for responsible pleasure is really abhorrent. So
You get into this good and bad arbitrary thinking, and then you start to believe that there's a list of right and wrong things that is hard and fast from the beginning of time, and that gets you into the kind of thinking where you think there's things you're not supposed to do. But I know in my heart that God does not have a list of acceptable sex practices.
I love how the ideas you just heard show some of the great diversity of thought with our denomination, but also have a common thread, this underlying value of compassion for each other and for ourselves. I pray that you can find a theology of sexuality that allows you to bring your whole self to your relationship, and better yet, brings you some good loving. Amen and blessed be.
My sexuality. If there's one thing I love, it's raping dogs. I love the feel of my cock in the tight dog's ass. Fantastic. Anyway, do you know, I once fucked 48 dogs in 5 minutes. Oh yeah. My dad was trying very hard not to look proud. And my mum was so happy she'd string me up from the wall bars and fuck me with a strap on.
Like a Pro workshop is, it's a weekend workshop, 3 days, for people who work hands-on in either the erotic field, sexual healing, sensual healing. Also, we have people there who are massage therapists. We have people there sometimes who are talk therapists who want to understand the hands-on piece more. We have people there who aren't professionals at all sometimes. What these workshops focus on mostly is making your session safe, effective, and satisfying for both you and the client. In the workshops, we spend the first couple of days just on you as a practitioner, helping you notice what's true about yourself. What are your edges? What's easy for you? What's difficult for you? How does your body respond to different, very simple things we lead you through? These are all clothed, by the way. We're not actually engaging in sexual activity during the workshop. So by leading you through those experiences, you're noticing more about yourself. What's easy for me, what's hard for me. And then the development and the insight that comes from that is a resource for you for what you can offer people. This work, my work in sexual and sensual healing, grew out of my own personal journey of the personal growth that I undertook that was for me. I didn't have this profession in mind. I actually am a chiropractor by training. I have 3 kids who are grown now. I had a very holistic healthcare practice using hands-on chiropractic, other sorts of modalities, body-mind integration modalities, somatorespiratory integration. And I taught peer counseling for years, so I had a very holistic background already. And then in my early 40s, I realized that my own sexual life is not what I would like it to be. So the first thing that I teach, and probably one of the most important things that I teach, is that your first job as a practitioner is to be aware of yourself. And you can be aware of yourself in a general sense of, this is what I usually like, this is what my edges are. But you also need to be aware of yourself in the moment. What's my emotional tone right now? What's my body saying to me right now? What are my thoughts and doubts and questions right now? Because that's what you have as a resource for you. That's what you stand on when you can offer something to someone else. So we all have skill in tolerating touch that we don't want. So that's not a skill any of us need any more of. And we certainly don't need it in our bedrooms. If people pay you to put your hands on them, you need to be in this class.